At a young age, I started to go to church with a neighborhood friend, and with him and his family, at about the age of 8, I was led to Christ. And from about 8 until, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years old, I stayed pretty much connected with the church. And as early teens came in, peer pressure and various other interests came along, it seemed like church kind of fell off. And it became something that I didn't do. You know, you kind of slow down and you don't go and you don't go, and suddenly you're just not there anymore. Um, this lasted a really long time, a lot longer than it really should have. But I became interested in my career after high school. Spent a lot of time, I mean, hours and hours and hours working on a career that really, it didn't take me anywhere ultimately. But I learned something kind of interesting throughout all of that. I had learned that during most of that time, God was still watching over me, still protecting me, still there, even though I wasn't really keeping my eyes on God. I mean, I had strayed really badly for a while. Got involved in a lot of New Age stuff and practices that, by any other stretch of the imagination, could be considered either demonic, satanic, or whatever you would like to call it. But it was not things that were of God. And after a number of years of doing that, and in realizing that something needed to change, it did, but not in the way that I was expecting. It took my father having a really bad heart attack to kind of get my attention and to put me back on track. His heart attack disabled him. He left work, wasn't able to work any longer, and told me that he wanted to spend more time studying the Bible. With my father, he is either all in or all out, and he jumped in with both feet. And he started studying, started working, and along the way needed somebody to talk to. That became me. And if you've ever been around anybody that really dives into the Bible, if you want to keep up with them, guess what you have to do? It's your turn to dive in as well. So that's what I started doing. I started also diving in. And you know, the funniest thing kind of happened here. You know, I like to say that God has a sense of humor, because at this point, all of the things that I had put off didn't really seem to be that important anymore, or all the things that I was doing didn't seem to be nearly as important anymore. But you know, studying the Word suddenly became very important. Went through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations during that time. You know, it is very true that as you start to draw closer to God, you also start to draw the attention of the enemy. Sure enough, I went through my fair share of attacks. There were multiple times that I really got beat down. But I also learned very quickly that I was the one that actually had the power to get myself back up through Christ. Okay, all I had to do was just lean in, just get closer to Christ, get closer to God. And the darkness just could not tolerate that. He would push it away every time for me. He protected me every time. You know, and that's a valuable lesson to learn, because you know, like I said, I had strayed pretty badly. So you know, the fact that he was able to come back into my life and to show me, without a doubt, that you know, I wasn't too far gone, that you know, that he could pull me back in and dust me off, and I could become useful again was huge. And like I said, he did that in a roundabout way through my father, and that lesson has stuck with me the rest of my life. There are times where you'll look at things and you go, you know, I did all these things. Like I said, I was working on getting involved in a whole bunch of the New Age stuff, and I'll spare the fine details, but like I said, it was not of God, but He was really, really able to step in. As soon as I turned away from that, he was right there, literally able to step in and embrace me and say, "Hey, it's okay, come back. Let's get going on the right path." And I've been doing that ever since. You know, you really are never too far away. I think the first thing is really start to come to the realization that the relationship that you have with Jesus and with God is a real thing, okay? It's tangible. And as you build that relationship, as you lean into that relationship and you start to feel you'll feel things start to change in your life. You'll feel things start to move, start to grow. And once that happens, there's no going back. It's to me at least, there was all the stuff before that I did, and I beat myself up trying to do, working on a career. I was working 120 hours a week and going nowhere. It was ridiculous. And but my eyes weren't where they belonged. And after that all went away, and I really started focusing on what mattered and really leaning into Jesus, everything changed. And once you get that change, you just don't want to go back. Never give up. It's never too late to start that walk. Okay, you have never done anything that is so bad that God can't forgive you. Okay, even if you think you have, there's nothing that you've done on this earth that is so bad that God can't forgive you if you go to Him and you ask for repentance. Now, there's a little more to it than that, and I would tell you to please take that up with your pastors, because they can explain the intricacies of that. But it's really that simple. Just ask for forgiveness, ask for His love, and and start following. Because once you feel God's embrace, you really don't want to go back.